in front of you.
Oh, you stopped, it says.
Oh, I'm frozen up here.
It says you stopped sharing. You're not frozen here.
Okay. Let's try this. Sorry, guys. We'll try this again here.
So we do have the presentation on our iPads, which everybody has in front of them, Steve. So as a backup here, if you can't get that going, you can just walk us through and we'll follow on the iPads.
I can also share my screen.
Yeah, why don't we do that, Fiona? I think it's just freezing because I'm going through the web app. Sorry about this, folks.
Okay, it's the one labeled final, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh, I'm clicking the button, but it's not allowing me to do anything.
There we go. I think I can see it on the screen in the background there.
Yep. Just go into presentation mode. I think you got it.
No, it's not showing me, but okay.
So it's got to go to slideshow there.
All right.
There we go. Perfect. Okay, I think we're off and running here. So, Fiona, if we could just go to the next slide, the agenda, please. Yeah, so as I was mentioning, I just want to give everybody a bit of an update on the project here, and the real main thing we wanted to share with you though this evening is a bit of an overview of the prioritization approach that we're suggesting and criteria, and then we do need your help as council with helping us refine and then apply some weighting values to the criteria, and I'll explain all of that's what we're requesting your help with here in just a sec. But if we can just go to the skip ahead to the first engagement overview slide, Fiona, please. Yeah, so since we've last talked, we've been really busy doing engagement with your community and learning about resident perspectives on recreation facilities and parks, and really happy overall the level of response we got from the community. So we fielded a coded household survey, which you may remember was the that postcard with a code that was sent to residents, and they had the opportunity to then complete that coded version. We had a duplicate non-coded version of that survey as well, and between those two surveys had almost 400 responses, which is pretty good. The coded version is a bit of a controlled sample for us, so usually we typically get about between 300 and 400 responses in a similar size community, and there's some ways we can check that level of response to ensure that it is representative of your residents. So again, really happy with that response. We obviously engaged a number of groups as well through a group survey and had 21 responses to that. So 21 different groups provided feedback, which is also great. Got a sampling of youth perspectives from a youth survey, had an open house that I know a number of you as council members attended, and had roughly about 75 participants. A lot of great conversation that came out of that. And then Fiona and I also hosted a number of different small group discussion sessions, 22 in total in the community, and 82 different participants representing kind of 22 different or participating in 22 different sessions attended those. So a lot of dialogue and a lot of discussion, which was really valuable for us. Next slide, please. Number of other pieces of research that the team's continuing to work through here. We're probably about 75% done this other research, and that includes things like the inventory and facility visits, which we are done, some mapping and spatial analysis, population demographics, trends, best practices, benchmarking, and then looking at your facility bookings and utilization. All the research and engagement we compile, we'll be putting into a background document that will complement the master plan, and should have that background document to you at some point here within the next 5 or 6 weeks. Next slide, please. So just wanted to touch on a few key themes from the engagement and research. And again, hard to encapsulate everything we've learned in just one slide. We could probably take 2 hours of your time going through all the different things that we've heard and learned so far, but just a couple highlights or things that stuck out for us. The first point there, overall, relatively high levels of satisfaction with Parks and Rec in the community. Obviously, there's room for improvement, and not everybody's satisfied, and we'd like to continue to help you achieve higher levels of satisfaction. But comparatively speaking, good levels of satisfaction with most aspects of Parks and Recreation. The second point there, one area that certainly did stick out as having some opportunity for improvement was around the communications and awareness of activities and programs. That's something that there definitely is some room for growth in terms of getting the word out, and particularly connecting with new residents that maybe aren't tenured or embedded in Parks and Recreation in the community. Third point there, I think it's really interesting that a lot of the folks we talked to through the discussion sessions are keenly aware that there is a number of aging facilities in the community that do require reinvestment, and that those facilities probably in some cases may need to be prioritized before you can go build a whole bunch of new stuff. And just wanted to highlight that there is awareness of that. Certainly people do want new and shiny things, but recognize that reinvestment in what you already have is going to be costly and is important. Certainly a key theme from the resident survey was just around the amount and diversity of activity that residents participate in Kimberley, both structured and spontaneous recreation, which is the point after that. A lot of trail use, and obviously things that we would expect residents in Kimberley to participate in, things like skiing and being out in nature, as well as gardening and a whole host of activities, again, kind of structured and unstructured, and different viewpoints on what activities are important to folks too. The second last bullet there, Kimberley is obviously part of a broader regional network of recreation amenities, and we heard a lot about that through the discussion sessions and through the survey as well. People are keenly aware of maybe what some of the challenges your neighbors are facing with situations like arenas. There's obviously people are leaving the community for different activities. People are coming into Kimberley for different activities, and lots of different perspectives on all of that. And then the last point there, most of your bookable facilities, your arenas and sports fields and diamonds in the community are really quite well used, but not overused, which suggests that for the most part you have a pretty good repertoire of facilities and probably the right quantity of most facilities in the community. Next slide, please, Fiona. So moving on, the really key thing we wanted to kind of task you with, frankly, tonight was helping us through working through our prioritization process here, and I just wanted to share a few key terms. So we've developed a 3-step prioritization approach that we ultimately think can help solve the question of what should some of those major facility priorities and recommendations be in the master plan. Within that prioritization approach, we've identified some draft criteria which reflect key considerations and research and data inputs that we can use to score and rank a list of different types of facilities, both those that exist and those that could be considered in the future for major capital investment. And then we're suggesting that each of these criteria that we've come up with should have a weighting value assigned to them. So all the criteria in a list of criteria, they're all really important, but we're suggesting that some are maybe a little bit more important than others, and therefore we should apply a weighting value to them. And for example, a weighting value of 5 would suggest something's most important. 1 would suggest it's least important. And then there's obviously a range in between. So just wanted to touch on some of those key terms there. And if we go to the next slide, please. So this graphic here just encapsulates a little bit of that overview of that suggested prioritization approach. So the first thing we need to do is to actually agree to criteria and weighting. And we'll show you our draft list of criteria on one of the following slides here. And then we need to weight each of those criteria. From there, we would take all the different types of facilities that exist or could be considered in the future, and we would actually score and rank that list of facility types using the criteria and their weighting. And it's important, and the reason it's underlined there is we're suggesting that scoring would occur for facility types and not specific projects. So we would be scoring kind of the bucket of facility types, so trails, arenas, sport fields, ball diamonds, not the actual specific project. Based on that particular ranking, we would then come up with strategies to help provide future guidance on what to do. So there's kind of an example narrated out there. So if trails scored as an amenity type or a facility type scored really high in step 2, that would suggest that there's a rational need for investment in that facility. The strategy in step 3 would then put some actions around what to do to invest in that amenity moving forward. Next slide, please. So why are we suggesting this approach? Well, there's a lot of different wants, desires, perspectives on priority projects in your community, as I'm sure you as council members have heard. We wanted to come up with an approach, and we've used this approach in numerous other communities before that's logical and transparent. It's data-driven, and it can help translate the research and engagement kind of into the so what. So rather than it being kind of opinion-based, there's a real data-driven, transparent process to coming up with the priorities. In terms of what we need from you as council members here, again, we need feedback on the suggested criteria, and then we need feedback on the weighting values for each criteria. So that's what we're going to be tasking you with here through a little council web survey that the link will be sent around to you with the criteria and a bit of an ask for you to help us come up with those criteria and the weighting. Next slide, please. So this is our draft list of criteria, and I won't go through this in an abundant level of detail here because you'll have a chance to look at this this list on your own and let it sink in before you do if you were able to do the little web survey we're asking of you. But just very quickly, so existing provision responsibility, that's essentially suggesting or recognizing that you're already in the business, so to speak, for certain types of recreation and parks and cultural facility types, and we're not ever starting from kind of ground zero on these things. So we're suggesting that needs to be considered as a potential priority setting consideration. Resident preference, or another way to think of that, is resident demand. That would suggest that something scored that ranked higher in the resident survey findings would score a little bit higher for that particular criteria. Similarly with stakeholder and user group preference, so things that we heard more frequently from stakeholders and user groups as being something that they need would score higher under that criteria. Obviously, cost is always really important, and taxpayer impact. So that taxpayer impact criteria represents capital and operating cost. The one after that, financial barriers to use and entry. So that's really speaking to, is a facility type low or no cost to use by residents, or is there an associated cost with it? And we're suggesting that public recreation services should consider level of financial accessibility, essentially. The next one, multi-purpose capability. We're suggesting that under that criteria, if a facility type is more multi-purpose in nature, that it would score a little bit higher because that reduces risk of it being obsolete, and it also potentially most likely serves the most highest number of uses. Utilization and trends suggests that facilities that are maybe at capacity would score a little higher, or that would integrate different types of activities that are trending under that criteria. Environmental impact, so that's really about resource consumption of a facility type. We know that some are more of the gas guzzling cars, so to speak, than others, and we thought that was important as a criteria. And then last but potentially not least is economic benefits. So we know that some facility types generate more non-local spending to a community than others, whereas others are more kind of serve more of a local catchment. So that's our draft list of criteria. Again, all really important, but we're suggesting that we need to weight these because some may be more important than others. And if we just go to the next slide, it's got a couple left here. This just shows a very kind of rudimentary example of how it all kind of comes together. So this would be how we would score, for example, utilization trends with, facility type X, Y, and Z. You could insert, whatever arena, pickleball courts, and horseshoe pits as the facility types. We would assign a score on a 3-point scale. If we're saying that this is weighted a 4, the score would be times by the weighting value, which would give us the points. We would do this for all criteria. It adds up in a sum score, and that's how we get that rank list of facility types. We then take that and apply some strategies to it that are more specific for the Kimberley context and what we're suggesting you do moving forward. Let's go to the next slide, please, Fiona. So lastly here, again, going to be sending you, or administration will be sending you a council web survey. Really, that has 3 questions. So we're asking if you disagree with including any of the criteria that I went through in that table. We ask you in that little web survey if we're missing any criteria. Certainly, if you think there's something that's blatantly missing there, we want to know about that, and we'll look to try to integrate that. And then probably the most important aspect there is we're going to be asking you about some level of importance for those criteria, and that's going to help inform the weighting of those criteria. Hoping you can do the council web survey by November 15th, because we do need to start the process of scoring and ranking the different facility types, and then using that to come up with the strategies for each. And that is the end of the presentation, and hopefully that was all clear, and happy to take any questions if it wasn't.
All right, thanks so much for that, Stephen. Great presentation. Council, go ahead, Councilor McBain.
Yeah, that was thank you. That was really good. Just at first glance there, Stephen, I think the criteria, like in general, I think it was pretty wide ranging, and it covers the breadth of what would be looking for. I guess my question would be, I think some of us are probably pretty familiar with, building these types of matrices and adding correction factors and weighting and all this stuff. But what I would be curious to know is, once we give this feedback, I think I would really appreciate, feedback from you on the feedback that we've given to kind of give us a sanity check based on what you guys have seen before, and if we're, on the right track. I like that you've given us some autonomy in trying to, develop what we know, at least from the town's perspective. But was that something you guys were planning on doing, is giving us kind of feedback on our feedback?
Yes, thank you. Through the mayor, certainly. We're not, we're obviously going to take council's feedback extremely seriously, but we're not necessarily going to commit to just kind of verbatim applying that. So we've come up with the criteria that reflects some of the inputs that we obviously know are logical, but also some of the values that you have in your strategic plan, some of the criteria that the public and stakeholders told us were important. So as it relates to then the weighting, we're going to obviously take, again, your feedback seriously, but then we're also going to apply what the community said was important as well. And we'll share back what you said and how we've gone with that, or how we've adjusted it slightly based on what the community says was really important for values and how we applied that to the weighting as well. So long answer to say that, yeah, definitely we'll kind of be the, I guess, the filter of it all.
It was a long answer, but I appreciate it. Like that was exactly what I was looking for. Thanks.
So, yeah, basically the term you used was sanity check. And as with everything, data is great and we need the data to make decisions, but there are reasons to take a step back and just give everything a bit of a sanity check at many different levels. Yeah, awesome. Further. So I guess one comment more than anything else, communications and awareness. I don't think I've ever been involved with a community communication or awareness, whether it's from the city perspective, the regional district perspective, community group perspective, where you don't end up with people coming back and saying, I didn't know about that. And it's become particularly difficult in this multi-channel universe that we live in, where people with short attention spans may or may not be there when that information is going out. And the best laid plans and using all of the channels that we have available to us, we're just not going to hit everybody. What is, I guess, what is a good participation rate, or what would we look at, Steve, to say, yeah, we didn't hit everybody, but we think we got the majority here?
Yeah, thank you, and great question. In terms of like the communications and awareness, like we certainly recognize that that's challenging. There isn't like the question, the way that was asked and why we flagged it is essentially like we asked people like, are you aware of opportunities or not? And about a third of residents indicated that they aren't aware of opportunities, which I mean that's not nothing, right? And we just thought it was worthwhile flagging that. And we then asked them, how do you learn about Parks and Rec opportunities? And they told us a whole bunch of different ways that they do. So I think the message there is that it's just important to recognize that the city needs to continue being innovative and up to date and using different ways to approach people, but there isn't like a magic number to hit in terms of participation levels and how that relates to awareness and communication. It's just flagging it that there is a significant number of residents that indicated that they aren't fully aware of what exists.
Yeah, fair enough. Thanks for that, Steve. I think that if you've got other feedback, from folks that, especially those that said we don't always get that information, here's how I would like to get it, that can enhance what it is we're doing, that would be awesome.
Yeah, we'll certainly provide direction on that in the master plan. You bet. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Okay, anything else? Thanks very much, Steve. Really appreciate you taking the time to come and present this evening. You as well, Fiona. More to come. We'll look forward to it.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Awesome. We have 3 other items inside our special meeting tonight before we head into closed. First up is the appointment of a municipal auditor for a 5-year term from 2023, basically this year, until 2027. And the motion on the floor is the council appoint the accounting firm BDO Canada LLP as the City of Kimberley's municipal auditor for those fiscal years. Councillor Roberts moves and Councillor McBain seconds. Discussion. You laid it out pretty good in the report, Jim, but do you want to kind of give us a summary for public edification?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, so this is an exercise we go through every 5 years. The previous agreement with BDO expired this year. So we're legislated to undertake the process of appointing a new municipal auditor. We went through a process of issuing an RFP to solicit bids for audit services. We only received 1 bid, but that's not because we didn't spread the net wide enough. We advertised not only on the city website, but also on BC Bid, which results in international advertising of that posting. In addition to audit services for the city, which we're asking council to appoint the auditor for tonight, the city's reporting societies, that being the Kimberley Public Library and the Kimberley Health Center Society, because they're obligated to, we're obligated to consolidate their financial information in our statements at the end of the year because they are reporting societies. We also asked for bids from proponents to undertake the audit services for those two entities as well. So those agreements will need to be entered into between BDO and those in the respective societies. So they've been notified of the bids, and I'll be following up with them after this meeting just to let them know what council's decision was. But as council is aware, BDO has been the city's auditors for quite some time, dating back to 2003. We've got well-established relationships with BDO and their staff. They're well aware of our operations, our systems, and our staff. So we've got no hesitation in recommending that they be appointed for a new 5-year term.
All right, excellent. Thanks for that, Jim. Any comments or questions, council? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Next up, we have the Joint Committee of the Whole meeting with ACOM. And the motion on the floor is that council approve the location of a Joint Committee of the Whole meeting with the City of Kimberley and ACOM Council to be held at St. Eugene Golf Resort on November the 8th at 7 p.m. And further, the council direct the corporate officer to post the notice of the meeting and change of meeting location in accordance with the various bylaws. Mover, please. Councillor Roberts, thank you. Councillor Royer, seconds. Discussion. Go ahead, Steve.
On the calendar, it says 5:30 till 9. Is that a misprint? On the calendar, it says 5:30 here.
No, the first part is actually a dinner. So we're gonna meet for dinner, and then there's gonna be a formal meeting at 7.
So are we invited to dinner too? We can have dinner if we want to?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
It's part of the meeting. So you could sit at the table and not eat should you choose to do that. But yeah, go ahead, Councillor Roberts.
Is this meeting open to the public?
Go ahead.
The subject of discussion cannot be closed under section 90, so it's open to the public, but it's, thank you.
Chances the public showing up at St. Eugene, anybody who wishes to do that can, but that's the only way the public will be able to participate. Further, call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thanks, Scott, for all the work in trying to navigate through this with Mike. I know it's taken some time, but I think we're almost there.
I am really looking forward to it. It's been a long time and it's a very important meeting. And I'm excited to break bread with our neighbors down the river as well. So it's going to be great.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, last item under the special meeting, special public meeting is the City of Kimberley Recreation Facilities Rental Rates Bylaw. And it is on the floor for adoption. And that is the motion that council adopt the City of Kimberley's Recreation Facilities Rental Bylaw. Councillor Royer moves. Councillor Cairns seconds. Any further discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. All right, that's it for the regular agenda of this special meeting. We now have an item or two in camera, and I would like to have a motion to move in camera, please. Councillor McBain moves and Councillor Royer seconds. All those in favor? That motion is carried.